And welcome back, everybody, to another video of What If Lori Survived Part 10. And today we're going to be getting into the Alexandria Season 5 arc. And we'd see the entire group trying to fit in, but then we'd see Joe and Dan. And since, they're not prisoners anymore, they can do what they damn well want. So they'd ask Milton if he wants to sneak around the community and take a little bit of supplies, because they'll need it, because for now they're just handing it to them and they can't just go in there and get it anytime. So plus, this is just unfair considering the other members of Alexandria get it. And Milton, he'd find them to be very right. So Milton would say yes, and all of them would start to head into first they're gonna go get the guns, ammunition and stuff. And when they are getting out, Milton decides he wants to take a little more, and Dan and Joe would let him stay there and they'd get out earlier. And Abraham would find Milton doing this, and he would tell Milton if anyone sees this, they will get kicked out and they have to go now. And Milton would tell Abraham to shut the hell up. And this would make Abraham a bit mad. And Abraham, he would punch Milton haymaker hard in the face, and Milton's tooth would fly out. And Abraham would drag Milton back to the house that the group are staying in. The only reason nobody saw them is because it was nighttime. And when Abraham gets back, Glenn would ask Abraham what happened to Milton, and Abraham would tell Glenn that he was trying to steal some weapons from Alexandria. And Gabriel would ask Abraham if anybody saw him, but Abraham would say no, and he would tell nobody saw Milton either. And then it's that Rick would see that Rick, he'd start getting a little worried still, because someone might have seen them. And when Milton wakes up, Merle would start yelling at him for why he was trying to steal weapons. And Merle would start walking towards Milton like he's gonna fight him or something. But before that, Milton would start talking, and he would say he wasn't the only one. But while he's talking, Martinez would cut him off and tell Milton to just shut up and go to sleep. And Daryl would agree with Martinez, because this is a big problem if anybody saw. David would try calming everybody down, but of course it won't work as much, because now they're stressed out about the situation. And Eugene would be surprised that Milton would do something like this, considering him and Milton were starting to become really great friends together. And then we'd see Spencer. Spencer would come in the morning, and he wants to take a couple of Rick's people for a scavenging mission that they're going on. And Rick and his people would agree, and some of the people from Rick's group would step up to go, and those people being Dwight, Tina, and also Morgan, and also Axel and Glenn. And they're all gonna go with Spencer's brother, Aiden, to go on a supply run. And we see Aiden's friend Nicholas, who's also gonna go on the supply run with them. And his name is Nicholas. And in the story, Nicholas will play a decent part in the story, so keep that in mind, because I'm gonna have him in some Because for some episodes, I'm going to have him a lot. In some episodes, I might not include him at all. Some episodes, I'll have him a little bit. And Aiden would arrive there, and he'd ask the group if they're ready to get going. And the group would all just be seeming ready. So they just start to get go. And when they go to the building, they were going to get supplies in. The building's full of walkers, and the group, they start shooting with their pistols and stuff, maybe like assault rifles or something like that, but eventually Aiden would start backing up, and Aiden would get stuck to the wall, and it's those pipe things. He got stabbed in the back, and Aiden would ask the group to help him, but eventually there's no saving him. So the group, they'd start running, and Aiden would get eaten by those walkers. But now, after Aiden would get eaten, the group, the walkers, they would start moving to a different spot, and that's where the group is trying to get out. They'd get stuck in these like glass types of doors with walkers, and there's a lot of times where either one of them could die. But eventually, so Nicholas would be trying to get out with so many walkers here, but if Nicholas would get out, this would lead into the death of Tina or Glenn, because Tina and Glenn are stuck in the same glass thing, And Nicholas, with just being a coward overall, he would try escaping from the glass, and when he does eventually get out, this would push Tina back, and with Tina getting pushed back, she would get pushed into the walker's chamber, and then she would get eaten by the walkers, and she would die a brutal death. And all Glenn and Dwight and also Morgan and also Axel, they can just watch. They can't help her or like save her or anything. This is just as brutal as Noah's death, but a bit more brutal, because since she got pushed back and she got bitten in the neck the second she got pushed back. And everybody would get out safely eventually, and Glenn isn't the one who would have problems with Nicholas in this story, because he didn't even know Tina that much, and so he's not the one who has problems. But Dwight's the one that has problems with Nicholas. And Dwight would go walking towards Nicholas when they get out, and Dwight would just go and punch Nicholas so hard in the face he'd get knocked out. And we'd see Maggie in Alexandria, and she would just put her pistol down on the table, and now there's gonna be something that's gonna go on with this pistol, and it's gonna involve in some basically killing. And like, I'm not saying that it's gonna kill anyone. It might, spoiler alert, but it might though. But for now, Maggie would just leave that pistol on the table, but someone would pick it up. And it's Milton. And Milton, he's just mad. He's just mad at how Abraham punched him in the face. And he wouldn't take that very kindly. And he would start walking outside. And he would call Abraham to come with him. And they would go basically in the forest. And Milton would just ask Abraham for gun training. But when their gun training, Milton would aim his gun at Abraham. And Abraham would start laughing because he'd think this is just Milton is just joking around. But Milton, then he would start shooting at Abraham. He'd shoot at the ground close to Abraham's foot. But from behind, Daryl would come with his gun and shoot Milton in the head with it and kill him. And Daryl saw Milton pick up the gun, and he knew that it was for Abraham. And that will be it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed, and bye-bye.